Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. I had a burp in my mouth. What is it, Pat?
Well, that was a burp, but it's the Full Force Weekly.
We did not practice that. Pat is just that good. Amazing. Right, yeah. I like our new little thing where I don't have to say it and you say it. It's brilliant.
It works. I need some confetti. I need to just, like, pull a string, and along with the bursts, just have confetti come down on
balloons,
me.
Like balloons floating around you with the Full Force Weekly logos on them. Yeah, let's crack the budget open for that one. Definitely. Mate, lots of news to get through. Let's start with probably one of the biggest, but not much information to go along with it just yet. And that was something that dropped during the weekly movie burst I was doing with Justin last week. So this is old news for most people, but it's new for the weekly. So in Mezco news... During last week's Movie Weekly recording, Mezco freaking Toys dropped an absolute clanger of a teaser image for their latest 112 collective figure. Following hot on the heels of Destro and Roadblock, it's the awesome Firefly. One thing I will say about Mezco is that their choice of characters is fantastic. I like that they're steering fairly close to the edge in terms of the main cast rather than diving straight in with Snake Eyes, Cobra Commander, Duke, etc. They're hitting some others first, and I like that. Yes, I know we've had more roadblocks than a Cannonball Run movie just recently, but I love what they've done with the Joe's Heavy Gunner, and I'll tell you now, I'm probably going to love this Firefly from what I can tell from this teaser image. He has some scarring under the mask, and I absolutely love the dark camo he's got going on. Looking forward to seeing the product images, accessories, and other info very soon. Stay tuned for updates. Pat, you liking this one?
I'm really curious to see what this one looks like once we see full pictures.
Full Force!
It's a really good choice. I like the 6-inch classified series Firefly, but there were a lot of people saying that they would have preferred a much more classic-looking Firefly. I think that's what this is going to be a lot more similar to, for sure.
Yeah, totally. And like what we can see on the image, more or less, is that he's got this really nice, dark, deep camo kind of going on there, isn't it? Slightly darker than the original vintage figure, but it definitely has a really nice vibe to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I think that that's one of the things that Mezco has done well, is the soft goods mixed in with the plastic, and I will be very curious to see how that translates to camo as well. Like, how do they apply the camouflage to the fabric? Is what I'm curious about.
What I'm interested in, and I think everyone is, because it's Firefly, accessories. Now, like, you know, we're talking toolkit backpack, so immediately you're thinking they're going to be doing something probably a little bit like raised up level. There's going to be removable elements. There's going to be like
some wire cutters or something, like the wire cutters be removable from his backpack.
Absolutely. I think there's going to be a lot of that in here. There's going to be like making paraphernalia, which saying that on a podcast makes me worried that it's going to get flagged and we're going to get shut down. But, you know, we're talking toys here, guys. And also, the other thing I was kind of interested in with him are the additional heads, because obviously we've seen multiple heads with Roadblock, we've seen multiple heads with Destro, and Destro's a mask. So I'm looking at Firefly and I'm thinking, do you think they're going to do... They're probably not going to do an unmasked head, but they're going to have to do some really interesting things to get emotion through the like alternate heads, aren't they?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm curious how scowling he can be versus how friendly he can be. Just kind of a neutral pose. Is there going to be like a sweating as he puts the
that would be amazing
together? I don't know. It could be interesting. This is going to be a good one. I think that the selection, as you mentioned, is also very interesting because we don't have any of the Mezco G.I. Joe figures in hand yet. So the fact that they are continuing to kind of preview some of them and show some of them off is interesting, but I think a lot more people will be following this a lot more closely once some of them are actually in hand. Because while Mezco has stuff out there, a lot of G.I. Joe fans like myself don't have any of them. So I think that it'll be a little more interesting once that happens.
I do have a 112 collective Batman, Dark Knight Returns, but in the kind of I think it's in the blue colors, like a more like vintage color deco, and it is gorgeous. And that was a number of years ago, like, you know, a long time ago that I got that. We're talking now, obviously there's been improvements in design, there's been improvements in structure and tech and manufacturing and so on and so forth. So I think we're going to get some pretty special stuff. I'm hoping anyway. But yeah, cannot wait to see what that Destro looks like. We're going to have to wait till 2022 though, aren't we? There's a long wait for these ones.
Do you think there's a possibility we won't get a second head? Because if they are doing a ton of little tools, maybe they don't see a need for a second head, since his expression is mostly, you know, scowling in a balaclava.
I'm gonna bet that there's a minimum of one alternate head, because obviously we've had 4 with Roadblock. Is it 3 in the default or is it 2 in the default? I can't remember. I think it's 3 overall, isn't it? I think so. I think Destro's got like a kind of blocky, almost like they're like a blocky, almost like toy accurate one.
Yeah,
he's got like a very kind of animated, big grinning one, and then he's got like a normal, what you'd call like, you know, the one that you'd associate with Destro as well.
Animated one, right?
Yeah.
Like a neutral animated one, a neutral one that looks kind of like the toy in the package, and then that huge grin. That was like the first one that they showed off.
And everyone went mad, like, oh, this is awful, it's awful. And then you saw like all the multiple heads, you're like, okay, I'll deal with that. Anyway, yeah, I can see them doing at least one, and it'll be like, I would love it if they did a sweaty one. If he's like, you know, like that, and there are beads of sweat like molded in, that's next level. That's genius thinking right there, Pat. If it's not, I'm going to be really disappointed now, and I'm going to blame you. Right, that's Mezco news. Next up, and kind of like, you know, we'll throw it in here, but in Kotobukiya news. So Kotobukiya revealed a number of images for their upcoming G.I. Joe Bishujo Dawn Moreno, it's easy for me to say, Bishujo Dawn Moreno statue to coincide with the release of the Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins movie. The post also explained that more information will be coming. Not a lot to really get into here, but we can see the statue. Thoughts on this, Pat? Is this something that you really are into in terms of the G.I. Joe brand?
I think that Dawn Moreno is a little bit overdue. I think that we mentioned that before whenever we saw like the concept art for
absolutely, in terms of character, 100%,
yeah, it's really overdue, and a little bit very kind of strange that you have a Snake Eyes movie out there. It'd be a good time to release multiple different iterations of Snake Eyes, and no Dawn Moreno is just weird to me. So I think this is good, and it's also not as, it's a little bit different than the other Bishujo stuff, if you ask me. It's not. The fact that she has the mask on probably leads to some of that, where it doesn't look quite as animated or anime-like, but, you know, she has the hair out there that does make me a little scared always of the pieces on these things breaking off because of how wild they are. But I think that it looks really good, and it's interesting to see the character in full 3D finally, and what that could mean for future releases of Dawn as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on like the character of Dawn Moreno just hasn't been explored in terms of like the toys and stuff, or in terms of anything really at all. There's been, I know we're going to get to Renegade Game Studios a little bit later on. There is a slight Dawn Moreno kind of homage in there as well, but you're right. Like in terms of like toys and other aspects, we just haven't seen anything from her, and it's been a couple of years now since she made her debut, and quite an impactful one. It made, you know, I think like New York Post, it made a couple of other kind of like, you know, big outlets, and I think mainly due to the fact that people were discussing possibly having a Dawn Moreno Snake Eyes movie at the time, before the movie was in full production. So yeah, I mean, definitely a character that's known. So yeah, and how have we gone this long without getting anything? I mean, I'd personally, I'd love to see a classified version of her. I think that'd be awesome. But then also, 4-inch retro is a great way to kind of blood her in as well, isn't it?
Well, it kind of feels like for her to really be part of the Joes, it needs to be a 4-inch figure to me. because that's where almost all the Joes are already represented in that scale.
Oh, so a 12-inch figure as well, then, yeah.
Yeah, and 12-inch. You get 12-inch.
And a Sigma 6, don't forget, and an Extreme. She's gonna need to be in all of these teams, isn't she?
Sure, why not? But it does feel like it's been maybe 2 years since she's not only been out there in the public mind, but also one of the things I always kind of think indicates that there's a demand for a figure of any kind is how often you see a custom done. And there's been a lot of customs of this character, which means that people want her on the shelf.
Shout out Marauder Rubin. He did an amazing, really amazing custom way back, I think, when Dawn was like kind of fresh in the in the comics.
You think this might be the best selling Bishujo figure yet for G.I. Joe?
Could be. It's that one or Canary Ann, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, these, I've got to be totally honest. They don't really like. I'm not a massive fan of these particular kind of statues, but it's. I suppose the thing is, we've got something of Dawn. The other thing that rubs me a little bit the wrong way is how very sexy they make these things. And Dawn, I'm pretty sure, was like 16 or 17 when she first hit the comic pages. She may even have been younger than that. And that always rubs me the wrong way when I see these kind of depictions of characters that are that young.
Do you think they're doing that with this one? I don't know. This one seems to be a little toned down compared to...
There's definitely a tone down on this, but still, it just rubs me the wrong way a little bit. That's all. I just want that.
I can get that, yeah.
But yeah, but like even so, it is good to see Dawn Moreno getting some love, and I hope we get to see her in other facets. I really hope we get to see it. I'd love to see a classified figure of her. I think that would be amazing. But I suppose time will tell on that one. And even though she is big in the comics at the moment, that to me would scream some sort of SDCC exclusive, or like a retailer exclusive, or something that isn't necessarily the standard release.
For a second I thought you were going to say comic pack, and then you just caused me to picture how well a 6-inch figure would look in front of a comic book.
Ooh. Or even that, though, they could definitely do comic packs in the future for the 4-inch figures. That would be really cool.
For sure. Yeah, I would love to see that as well.
Yeah,
I very much am primarily still about the 4-inch figures. That's really what I'm hoping to see a lot more effort going into. Not compared to the 6-inch.
As well as, yeah.
But I want to see more effort than what we have gotten in the 4-inch in recent years, because that's still where I love my G.I. Joe stuff. And why not? You said 12-inch. Let's see some 12-inch G.I. Joe stuff come back.
100.
I'd love to.
Especially big time, and
especially now, because look at how many 12-inch figures. Look at where 12-inch figures have gone with all the Hot Toys, and I mean the Hot Toys G.I. Joe stuff looked great with Retaliation.
Big time.
I don't think we're getting any of that for the new Snake Eyes movie. So
I know that would have been great. I'd have loved to have seen those costumes in that sort of detail, that sort of real beautiful large kind of scale. Yeah, because again, one of my favorite ever costumes is that Retaliation Snake Eyes costume. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. And the Hot Toys figure, I've seen pictures of that, and I don't know if it's the movie shot, if it's a shot from the film, or if it's a shot from the figure. It's that good to me.
I actually think that I have seen news outlets for movies reference Snake Eyes as the character and used pictures of the Hot Toys figure, probably not knowing that that's not a picture from the movie.
In fact, almost exclusively that happens, because every time I've seen a news outlet talk about Snake Eyes on the lead up, when we were covering it, when we were doing that coverage, it was always the same Hot Toys image they used. And because someone used it once, they all used it, and it just barrel rolled, and that becomes the main image of Snake Eyes from Retaliation. It's amazing. I love how that stuff works. Yeah,
I would love to see more of the vintage 12-inch Joes updated with current 12-inch figure capabilities. Just even the classic action soldier.
Yeah.
What would that look like with, the ability to make that uniform with current technology and to maybe update the face so that it looked like the original character.
That would be great.
But a modern figure. I think that's something that G.I. Joe just hasn't done. That's a shame.
Yeah, totally. And like, obviously, I kind of miss Sideshow. I used to love the Sideshow releases as well. I think I have all but like a couple of the really difficult to get exclusives that they would always do, because they do like an exclusive and then they do the normal kind of one, wouldn't they? And there's only there's only a couple of exclusives that I don't think I've got. But yeah, I'll shout out to Nick Whitmore, because he offloaded about, I want to say like 10 or 11 figures to me that one time in one go. It might have been more than that, actually. Nick, if you're listening or watching, I'm not sure if you do, but if you are, just remind me how many you gave me, because it was a lot. Anyway, let's move on to the next news item, because we've already gone on a massive tangent there. And in Flame Toys news, Flame Toys revealed a number of products during the ACGHK show, including their Hito Karakuri Snake Eyes figure and their Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow figure and Motorcycle Furai model kits, but a few images have surfaced of a brand new addition to the range. Yes, it looks as though we'll be getting a new Ore Striker in the Furai model kit lineup as the Ninja Commando 4x4. With the figures at 5 inches, the vehicle will probably go well with the classified line. I'm loving the bulkier wheels and that cool launcher on the roof. They've stayed very close to the original version that came out in the Retaliation line back in 2012, only with a few minor changes like the bigger wheels. I'm excited to see more pictures of these and hopefully some comparison shots with classified figures. In addition to this, they also dropped pre-orders for their Snake Eyes and Speed Cycle Furai model kits, and that was basically this morning, late last night, as we record this on a Friday. And you can go on the links in the description. Now, I will warn you, shipping is astronomical from those pre-orders, so I would probably wait. If you're in the US, they will be coming to other retailers, I believe. So, I wouldn't worry too much about trying to get hold of these, because they will be out in the US and you won't have to pay almost the same amount of money as both items. When I went in there to have a look how much it would be, it was like 80 something bucks for both of them and 70 something dollars for shipping. So the links are there if you want it, but trust me, shipping will destroy you. So hold off if you want to. Anyway, Pat, what do you think of the Flame Toys stuff? We've had discussions of this in the past, but that Ore Striker looks dope, doesn't it? It does.
I think that it makes a lot of sense for G.I. Joe to be doing vehicles that you have to build again.
Yeah.
That to me actually is kind of part of the fun of these, is going to be able to be doing that.
Snap together. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And it's already a part which will lend very well to customizing, because I'm certain that we'll be seeing, if these fit 6-inch figures well, I'm positive we'll be seeing several of these painted green. And then just as soon as everybody, gets their fill of painting them green, they'll just release a green one. That's probably what will happen.
Or Classified will come out with one.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously, for a while, I was under the impression that the figures were around 6 inches until all the blurb came out yesterday or last night, Thursday night, I should say, that gave all the information, all the specs. The figures, I think, are just over 5 inches. So Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, the model kits, are just over 5 inches in height. Not necessarily ideal for Classified, obviously, because Classified is a good inch bigger than that. And also, when I've looked at like other 6-inch figures, Classified does have a little bulkier, bigger size to them. So, if you kind of... Thanks, Phoebes. If you look at like some of the 6-inch kids line stuff, they don't really go very well with the 6-inch Classified stuff, if you know what I mean. So,
yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I don't know how much that's going to matter for a motorcycle. It may,
but look like they're at the circus on those tiny bicycles.
It may not, though. They may scale just okay with them.
Yeah,
just as a slightly smaller motorcycle.
You can probably get away. Thanks, Phoebes. You can probably get away with the Ore Striker, in that scale with a Classified figure. Just kind of,
as long as there's enough leg room.
Yeah, that's the worry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Are you interested in these, Pat, I should say? Like, are you looking to get these? Because I really like that Snake Eyes and Speed Cycle.
I actually think that the fact that they have to be built is probably a selling point to me. It would be something that customizing is one thing. It takes some time in making the decisions and trying to do things the right way is almost a different thing than just opening up a kit and keeping yourself busy assembling it.
Yeah.
Those are two kind of very different things. Yeah, I mean, it will lend itself well to customizing it and making your own decisions as you go along. But I think also with these kits, it'll just be very easy to pop open the box and have kind of a relaxing night of assembly. So that to me is a selling point.
Are you the type of person that really enjoyed putting the stickers on that first Sky Striker, that first modern Sky Striker?
No. Putting a million stickers on, no.
Do you know what took me hours? It was the first Metroplex release. And I remember I thought, oh yeah, I'll put those stickers on today. And that was the entire day. Like I
still have some of those Titan scale Transformers that I have not put the stickers on.
They look great with the stickers, but my goodness, it took hours. And yeah,
I'm glad they come with them. I wouldn't want them to not have them.
Of course,
don't get me wrong. But yeah, it takes a long time.
Yeah, it's not like you can expect the factory to put those on first either, is it?
No,
not if you want it in good time. Right then, okay, well that's Flame Toys. Links in the description, as I said, if you want to get on those. And also one other thing I'll mention at this point, because I mentioned it in the news burst for Flame Toys, Target exclusives appeared as if by magic very late last night and on Target Online. So I'll throw the links in the description as well, but you can get at the moment, currently still, Firefly, Viper, Baroness, and Roadblock. No sign of Beachhead. And no sign of that, and I think the Cobra Trooper sold out. So at the moment, but those
Major Blood,
Major Blood, I didn't see him on there, so probably not.
I think we can say that the problems have been rectified.
100%, 100%. I don't think it really necessitates an entire segment of discussion right now, but I thought I'd mention it right now just so you guys are aware. And yeah, so and like you said, Pat. Definitely. I think we're getting to the point now where it feels like we're catching up with this stuff and, it's becoming easier to get hold of. You wonder where that tipping point's going to be, where you're wondering if it's going to be like everywhere all the time and peg warming, but I don't think it'll get to that point, hopefully.
I don't think so either.
Awesome. So well done, Hasbro. Well done, Target. And next up, we have a bit of Jada news. A couple poor quality images of the upcoming Jada Toys Nano Hollywood Rides G.I. Joe Vamp have shown up online, and it looks like it will come with a Duke Nano metal fig in the packaging. The other image that appeared featured a cross-sell on what looked like another part of the packaging, revealing that Destro would also come packaged with the Hiss tank. We knew they were coming, courtesy of leaked images at Toy Fair last year, which also gave away info on the slightly larger 132 scale for those particular vehicles. The Hiss has already been released in a smaller Hollywood Ride set, but the original green Vamp was oddly left out in favour of the Tan Mark II version and a Snowcat. Maybe the decision was made to get a bit more variation in the earlier releases, and I'm sure we are likely to see a green Vamp in the future in that smaller scale. Expect to see official images of the Vamp and Hiss very soon, and start checking stores just in case. Pat, are you happy to see more Jada product coming out?
For sure. I really thought that we were kind of done with the Jada Toys stuff. There was a point where I had looked on their website and I didn't see G.I. Joe listed anymore, and I thought, well, that's a shame. We're done with G.I. Joe. And then Hasbro showed off that big set with all the figures in it. So I'll be happy if we get additional Nano Hollywood rides, but seeing that these are still on their way is a good thing. I would like to see maybe different figures included with them rather than, I mean, if I get that big set and I've already got the multi-pack that came out right away for the figures,
yeah,
it's going to be my third time buying that same Destro and Duke. So I would like to not have Shiny Pants Duke this time around, to be honest. And maybe a different Destro. Why not give him the white collar that you were excited about last week?
Oh, I was very excited about that, wasn't I? Probably too excited. Got all aggressive with you as well, didn't I?
Well, I mean, you just get very excited about Action Force stuff. I can't blame you.
Yeah, I'm really happy these are coming, and I think this is probably a COVID issue, isn't it? Like it feels like there was a real bottleneck when it came to them first coming out with those 3-packs. People were seeing them in some places, others not at all. And then all of a sudden, 12 to a peg, boxes on top of the shelves. They were just like flooding the market all of a sudden. And that hasn't really slowed down. I've gone to most stores. I'll see the G.I. Joe ones, even like the stores that I go to where there's very rarely a lot of stuff in them. You'll still see 1 or 2 on pegs. And you kind of think, well, that's nice that it's there and you're seeing it, but at the same time, like, you know that there's tons and tons of these sitting in a lot of stores. So obviously that's had a big effect. They'll probably rectify that, I guess, with the next lot of, well, I say that. It's not like things have been fixed. There's still issues. But I'm really excited to see what this actual set looks like. And then hopefully we'll start seeing all those other Toy Fair leaked sets, like it was like the Sky Striker and the Night Raven and the Ore Striker wasn't involved, was it? Despite being on the artwork, I don't think there was an Ore Striker yet.
No, I don't think so either. I don't remember seeing an Ore Striker. I remember there being, was there a stun?
I remember those Toy Fair leaks. They weren't supposed to come out at all. Like, they were just shown to people,
and they were asked not to show pictures, and they did take pictures.
Exactly, yeah.
No, wasn't there a RAM? Because I remember there being something that was shown next to the Vamp, and they were the same size, not the same scale, and that stood out to me. So I think that it was maybe a RAM and a Vamp, unless I'm thinking of the vintage metal figures.
I'll tell you exactly what it was. So it's Snowcat. It was the original Vamp and the Hiss. That was the original lineup before we got the Mark II. Then it was obviously the next one was spring of 2021. So all of these should have been out in 2021, and that was the Mobat, the Stinger, and the Sky Striker. And the final set, which should be out spring of 2021, is the Night Raven, the Silver Mirage, and the Dragonfly.
Okay, the Silver Mirage.
And the Silver Mirage looks to be the same scale as the
same size as the Night Raven,
as the Sky Striker and the Night Raven. Yeah. Well, actually, we say that they probably will be, obviously, because they, there's, if it was the actual size, it'd be that big. But yeah, it's not going to be the same scale, is it?
No, and we really shouldn't even expect them to be. That's not what any of these toy things are. That's what I've seen several times. People have asked me, what scale are Hot Wheels? It's like, well, they're not a scale; they're a size.
Yeah,
you don't have a motorcycle the same size as a double-decker bus.
Exactly.
They're a size.
Yeah, and that's the. I imagine when they discuss scale with this, they're referring to that particular, like the car, as opposed to like the plane or the boat or the motorcycle. Your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting Arnie quotes out of me again. Right, yeah. So, well, I mean, that's Jada, and again, really looking forward to seeing what they have up their sleeves. Even though we kind of know what's coming, although we sort of thought we were getting a green Vamp and we didn't. So maybe we'll get some variations in whatever lineups they decide to put out.
I would love a multi-pack of the Nano vehicles. I haven't seen them do that with any brand yet, but a multi-pack beyond 3, just a big case of vehicles, yeah, that'd be really cool.
I want to see like little play sets, because I think that would be really cute. Like you could have the figures and the vehicles on there. It doesn't matter.
Drone?
Yes, tactical battle platform.
Yeah.
HQ. The HQ would be cool because you could have like the similar thing where the vehicles fit in certain spaces. Do you know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. That would be really, really cute, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That would be definitely a good set. The HQ would be relatively. I don't think that would be even that expensive for them to make.
No, nor would it be that big. Yeah. I mean,
no, it wouldn't.
You're talking like maybe that.
You look at the size of things they've done, like the Daily Bugle that came with like one Spider-Man figure and it was in a box that big.
Yeah.
I actually think that it could be smaller even and still fit the Nano vehicles.
Absolutely. I would love it. I think it would be great. They could even do like a really cute animated style HQ, like repaint it or something. Yeah. Have that like like a green one and that'd be so cool. I'd be well into that.
Nano Big Whack.
Oh.
Nano Toxolab.
Yeah. Oh, don't. This is getting really awesome. Especially when you start getting into like Eco Warriors minifigures.
Yeah.
Cesspool. Oh, dude. Okay, we've gone off track again. Well, we haven't. We're on track, but you're just getting me to find loads of images on 3DJoes and Yojo to have to slam on here. Shout out to 3DJoes and Yojo, because I always use your images and I never really credit you, so I'm crediting you now. Well, I do credit. It's just when we do the weeklies, it's like everyone knows where they're from, Carson. Geez, everyone knows where these images come from, for God's sake. Jesus. Right, next up then. Big shout out to 3DJoes and Yojo. Next up then, in GameStop news, and this is one of my favourite stories from this week, Pat. Absolutely digging this one. GameStop have revealed a very special, officially licensed G.I. Joe Modern Icons exclusive, a replica of Snake Eye's vintage sword, and boy does it look awesome. It features an ABS blade with die-cast handle, a G.I. Joe logo sword mount display stand. It will cost you $109.99 and will ship on the 29th of October. I love how the product description mentioned unbreakable Onehashi steel as a nod to the comics, even though it's made of ABS. Lovely stuff, Pat. Are you digging this one, mate? Are you into this?
Yeah, actually, I like this. This is the kind of thing that I was thinking that I would have preferred to have seen rather than the helmet for Snake Eyes. I'm not actually a fan of that helmet, but this looks really cool.
Yeah, and a bit of an upgrade from the letter opener that we're getting from Icon Heroes as well, isn't it?
That's true. Although, I will say, calling it unbreakable seems like a challenge.
Totally.
Doesn't it?
I'll tell you how unbreakable it is. When I
finishing with it,
I'm just hitting this walls. I'll just be slamming it into walls just to see if it stays, intact. No, it looks amazing. It's probably going to be heavy as heck because you've got a die-cast handle. You've got it's ABS, kind of a blade. But I guarantee, it's not like they're not going to make a full-on stainless steel sword. It would just be ridiculous. That's for like an actual swordsmith or like an actual company that does like those kind of swords. This is like replica collectibles. So people were kind of complaining about the fact that I'm like, they're not going to make it's still probably a pretty dangerous thing to wield, but they're not going to make that. Like there's so many things that get in the way of that.
It would just be probably pretty expensive to have it be like one of those traditionally folded over however many times steel to get molecules to align. This is basically like a package opener to go with your letter opener.
Yeah, this is the big box opener, isn't it? This is like if you get a fridge or a washing machine.
Or something big from San Diego Comic-Con or it's your Hasbro Pulse. What do they call them? Why is it escaping my mind? Unicron. It's for opening Unicron.
Okay. You just should have just said that thing behind me.
Unicron, and for whenever Galactus arrives, you'll have a sword dough.
Or when the G.I. Joe HasLab drops, which is...
HasLab, there we go. For whatever reason, that was what was escaping my brain.
That, I'll tell you now, is going to happen, isn't it? After the 2 months we've had, where it has just been brand drowning, is what it feels like. Like, kind of, I can't sleep, let alone, it's like, but usually at 2 or 3 in the morning, news pops up and I miss it. So I'm going to wake up and get ahead of the game, type out all of the text and then record it in the morning. And it's just literally been doing that like the whole time. Doing these weeklies as well. It's like every weekly is like an hour plus now because of this stuff. So they're going to do a HasLab. It has to happen.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And this will be your way of opening that HasLab and looking cool in in an unboxing video.
What do you open this box with for the sword? Like if you get that come in, what do you open it with?
You're just gonna have to take the time with the letter opener.
It's gonna be hours, isn't it?
And for the letter opener, you're gonna have to just get a vintage Snake Eyes and use his sword.
Amazing. Oh, amazing. Right. Moving on then, that is brilliant, and I don't care what anyone says, that sword is phenomenal. I know, that's not the first time that style sword's been released though, is it? We've had that sword in the past as a replica, right?
Yeah, I can't remember who released one, but whenever Devils Do showed off like that initial artwork that they had, that was a painting when G.I. Joe was just coming back out kind of in the early 2000s. There was another sword released around that time that had pretty much the Devil's Due details that were shown, because there was the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow kind of back to back holding their swords, and they released both of those swords.
Yes, you're right. It was Storm Shadows as well at the time, wasn't it? Yeah. I kind of missed the boat on those, so I'm really happy they've got this opportunity now to get this one, and I'm excited to see if they do more of this kind of stuff for Joe. I'd love to see things like Flint's pistol. Well, I say Flint's pistol, I used it a lot, but like the standard laser pistol from the animation, which is like,
Snowjob rifle.
Snowjob's rifle, absolutely. I mean, all that. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Come on, Nerf. Why are we not like? I still don't know why this connection hasn't happened. Like, it just seems so obvious. They're even like using Nerf blasters in the classified line. Why don't we have crossover for Nerf? It's your company, guys.
It's overdue, especially the Snowjob rifle, like that standard Sunbow animation rifle. Release that, and then release like the Cobra one that Super 7 has it packed in with their reaction figures.
Yes. Release
that as a Nerf gun.
And even if they don't do it as a Nerf gun, as a Modern Icons replica, that'd be really cool. I'm not sure what there's probably laws about that at the moment with gun replicas, so maybe that's in the way of that. I'd have to we'll do some digging.
They don't look like real guns, do they? They're more like lasers. It would be Red Rival versus Blue Rival.
That would be dope. That would be really dope. And imagine if it came with like little light up and sound effects, and it would light up either red or blue. That would be so dope, wouldn't it? Oh, okay. Right, I'll make a few calls. Right, next up then, and we have Pat. We have our weekly Renegade Game Studios news. Yes, Renegade Game Studios have officially revealed their new G.I. Joe deck building game, as well as pre-orders for this and 2 jigsaws, one with game artwork and another with the Marvel issue #1 cover art. Links in the description, they're $20 each. If you pre-order the game, you will get a bonus box featuring Dawn Moreno, as I mentioned earlier on. Here's another Dawn Moreno nod. An alternate round marker and a constructible hanger. Sounds great. It costs $45 and will ship in October. The description reads: in this deck building game, you and your fellow players will lead teams of G.I. Joe soldiers on missions to stop Cobra's dastardly plans. Each player starts the game with a meager deck that will grow more powerful. I said deck, by the way. Will grow more powerful as you recruit veterans from the G.I. Joe team, requisition gear, and field new vehicles. This fully co-op game pits you against increasingly dangerous missions to save the world. This core set begins your journey with everything needed to play, but be prepared for more Joes and missions to come. They also provided a link to the rulebook highlighting the contents, rules, and even more additional artwork to enjoy. Links in the description. It's a shame we didn't get this to coincide with Renegade Con Virtual, but at least we can sit back and enjoy the show on August the 27th and 28th, which will give us a lot more insight into this really fun venture. Pat, here we go again. Another week, another Renegade Game Studio story. A bit more information about this. How are you feeling about the game now?
It's interesting because it's a co-op game. For some reason, I just hear card game and I picture myself getting crushed by my brother. Just, hey, isn't this going to be fun? I'll crush you at this game this time. Okay.
Yay!
But it sounds like something that you would be playing co-op. You mentioned before that you've played some of this.
Yeah,
Has that been
honestly, Kate and I love these kind of games. Just like where I'm looking right now, we've got a Back to the Future for the IDW one. We've got, I'm actually using 2 of them to prop my laptop up right now. The Jurassic Park, actually one of them is Scrabble. But yeah, the Jurassic Park one as well is awesome. But like, we played these games with friends. Like, honestly, it's such a huge, like you're talking like D&D and stuff like that, but similar kind of vibe where and all the games seem to be drastically different. Same basic kind of rules, but they're so different, like visually, and the pieces that come with them. Sometimes you're like building the board as you go. Sometimes you've got a board that you're working on. Sometimes you've got pieces. Sometimes you've got plastic models. Sometimes you've got little it's all sorts of different things. But yeah, a lot of the time you work as a team to kind of get to a certain goal, and it's never that easy, and you really have to think about your moves and all of the rules that kind of come in with it. You get the card and it'll have certain instructions on it and so on and so forth. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what those games are like. And they just, honestly, they will take 8, 9, 10 hours of the day, and you won't even realize. You'll just be sitting there going, how long have we been playing this? Like, it's crazy, it's fun. But we make like a game night out of it, and you go around friend's house and you'll have like food and stuff, and then you'll just have a great time messing about and playing silly games. And I think this is going to be so much fun for a lot of the Joe guys and a lot of the guys that are into this kind of stuff like D&D and stuff like that, because like you say, it's the Venn diagram, wasn't it? Like we talked about last week, and how Ryan Costello probably sits right in the middle of that for those kind of things. But so that's kind of roughly what you're dealing with here.
I still do some G.I. Joe meetups, like some, just people who are G.I. Joe collectors in general that I've met over the years.
Yeah.
Usually we'll meet up and go to a Denny's or whatever, just to kind of hang out and talk G.I. Joe. So I wonder, to what degree is this going to be good for local meetups for G.I. Joe? Probably, from what you're talking about, pretty good. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it comes in a pretty normal sized box, so it's not like you're not lugging like some it's not like the old Mousetrap game, which was like it's like 4 times the size of the table that you played it on.
This carrying Fireball Island into Denny's.
Exactly. What's that one that Kate's got? Battle Dome. Yeah, like pulling that bad boy out and just being yeah. Hungry Hippos as well, like being really loud and smacking the table. I think that would work in those kind of environments. We would go to there was like a bar in Columbia that we'd go to, not South America, Columbia, Missouri, and we'd meet up with friends in there, and it was kind of like you'd go into like the basement, and it would be like loads of tables, and then there'd be like beer, basically. It was just like a beer shop, loads of like drink. So we'd go in there, we'd hang out, and we'd just play games like for pretty much the entire day, and it was a lot of fun. So I think this could open up a few of those kind of like G.I. Joe meetup kind of things, especially for those guys that are really into this. And for those that aren't, give it a try, because I was never into this kind of stuff. Like, it was always like, I can't be bothered to play games sometimes. Like, and I'm kind of oddly low key competitive. So when it's that motivation of going, do I want to get involved with this right now, or do I need to get into this game and try and win it, or am I just doing this for fun? And once I started playing, it was like, actually, this is just a laugh, and you don't have to be like, especially when you're not pitted against somebody.
Yeah, see, that's the key for me. I think that whenever you're going to be playing these things together, that could just avoid any sort of animosity that may happen. Because also with these games, some of the things that happens, at least to me, is the person who owns the game ends up being the winner every time, because they've played before and they're trying to introduce things to new people.
Yep.
It's not fun for those new people because, like I said, you just get crushed over and over again. But with this, it actually sounds like something where we could have a G.I. Joe meetup and have something to do other than to talk about the news of the week or of the month or whatever.
Absolutely. We should do a live stream when this game comes out of us playing it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to pre-order this. This is good. I haven't actually pre-ordered it yet, but I need to.
That'd be fun though, wouldn't it? Just like myself, you, get Justin on there, get any of the other guys that want to jump on, and then we could do we could even get Brian to do like a really cool special graphics for it, and where we would have like the information coming up on screen. Oh, come on. Yeah. We could make like a fun little thing of this, couldn't we?
Yeah, and I guarantee that I will not be very good at the game.
Mate, it's fine. Again, co-op. That's how it is. Don't worry.
I'd be good. Maybe I'm already hustling a little bit here.
Yeah, maybe this is the Pat's poker face is coming out. I won't poke Pat's face. Anyway, that is it for Renegade Game Studios. Obviously, I'm sure there'll be something next week, but failing that, we've got August to look forward to with that show, and I think I'm definitely going to be watching that. I'm going to have my eyes on that show, and I'm going to enjoy those G.I. Joe aspects. So I can't wait for that. Okay, well, next up then, Pat, and this dropped, like, I think Paddy shared this with us earlier on, and it's kind of like something I just wanted to talk about because of the homage in there, and that is in third-party Transformers crossover homage news. TFC Toys have shared images of their upcoming STC-02 Tyrant test shot. Very alliterative there, isn't it? Which homages Destro's Dominator. More alliteration. It looks extremely badass and definitely worth a mention on the show today. Pat, I know you're a big Transformers fan. Do you like this homage?
This has been a long time coming. Like a really long time.
Yeah.
This showed up with Optimus Prime as the Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time for. I mean, there's two different Optimus Primes as Rolling Thunder toys, correct?
Yeah.
And repaint one of those.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that it's taken this long for Megatron to actually make it to plastic form. What with how many of these other companies are making their own toys based off of Transformers. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure the G.I. Joe fan will look at that and go, well, why does it have 3 cockpits? Well, because that was what the concept was for Megatron as the Dominator. It wasn't quite the traditional Dominator.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, that's true. This is based obviously on that concept art, and I think we've actually shared that in the past. When I think it was like Dime Chock, they always got this Transformer stuff on lock, and it's usually them on Facebook that I see this stuff first. This is where I've seen this, and obviously in the past we've shared that concept sheet for that Megatron. And it's really cool, actually. I'll see if I can flash it up on screen as well, because it's really worth looking at. And yeah, it is Destro's Dominator, but yeah, like Pat said, it's not like a faithful recreation, but it's just so nice to see these kind of like fun little homages creeping into other brands. And I know, like, third-party Transformers, love them or hate them, whatever you feel your feelings about them. I do like that they can push the boundaries a little bit sometimes with some of these homages. That Rolling Thunder Optimus Prime is just absolutely bloody gorgeous, and absolutely think that's a fine piece of toy. So this one again looks really cool, really ridiculous. Do you know what I think would have been really, really excellent? Because they show like a number of different head sculpts for it. If they'd done like a Destro inspired one.
Yeah, that's true.
Like almost like Destro, but with Megatron's helmet on top of it. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, well, who knows what scale it'll be. Hopefully there will be enough Destros out there. You could just take that grinning Destro off your
mate. Oh, mate, that would be so good. Sorry, you were saying something then, dude, before I interrupted you.
What I was saying is I've looked at the art, and maybe I'm wrong, because the original Don Figueroa art for this doesn't show 3 cockpits, but I know that I've seen those before. So where have I seen that before?
I'm not sure. Maybe it could be getting confused with the first image that dropped of this. The first time it came out. Because I remember when it was posted, I think Paddy even thought it was the Mamba at first, didn't he? And then we were like, actually, I think it's the Dominator. And yeah, we were kind of like umming and erring. And then when we looked at the Dominator, we're like, yeah, that's the Dominator. I mean, again, it doesn't have to be like exact half the time, does it? Like, you can get away with, these slight homages. And I quite like what they've done with it too.
Yeah, and it looks like they went with what his concept was to have the cockpits on each shoulder. But it looks like it has multiple modes. Like, there's a jet mode for it as well.
There's loads. There's like a tank mode, a jet mode, multiple different configurations of the figure. Yeah, it's pretty dope. Pretty dope. So I'm quite interested to see this one kind of finalized. I'm probably not going to get it, but at the same time, it's really nice that it kind of exists even in that third-party realm. But yeah, anyway, that's the news this week, Pat. We got through it in fairly reasonable time too. So let's move into shout-outs, I guess.
Sounds good to me.
What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly, and time for me to not forget Philip this week.
Yay! Okay, so Philip gets that nod immediately. Any other shout-outs for you, my man?
I think that probably covers it, actually. other than, of course, Carson, I will echo what you said earlier with all the images coming from 3D Joes. So shout out to Carson as well.
100%. And yeah, because I keep stealing them too. I'm probably going to throw one up now, just random one. Any image and not say it's from him. There we go. Done. As always,
was it an image of him that you didn't say was from him?
Yeah. As always, big shout out to all the family and to my wonderful wife Kate. Love you all. To Brian Sauer, who continues to create some amazing graphics for us, and Armour 2 next weekend. Wow, that's come around fast. More info to come this week, of course, so stay tuned for all of that. You know, kind of times and when the panels are happening, and Pat and Phil and myself are doing one, and we're recording it on Sunday, so that shows you how much work I've got to do in the next couple of weeks. In the next week. Forgot to shout out last week as well, Daryl DePriest on the last show, who was kind enough to point out an error on my part, and quite rightly so. In a burst I did about Lorenzo de Bonaventura's interview with Mike Ryan at Uprocks, I incorrectly stated that the Transformers had been involved in that combined writer's room for the Hasbro Cinematic Universe many moons ago, and Daryl correctly pointed out that they were actually never part of that, as Paramount have always been against teaming up the Joes and the bots, as Lorenzo mentioned as well in that interview. He was completely correct, and I think I was getting mixed up with the IDW Revolution crossover as well. But, anyway, much love to Daryl, and sorry for missing this last week. So that was a mistake that I made 2 weeks ago that I'm still, struggling over. But anyway, yeah, there we go. That's sorted. To the Mego crew, consisting of CEO Marty Abrams and the design team Paul Clark and Frank Wojo, for coming on the show to talk about their G.I. Joe Ninja Rivals set on Hasbro Pulse right now. Link in the description. They actually shared packaging images in the week as well, and they look pretty cool. You saw that, didn't you, Pat? What did you think of the packaging?
I did, yeah. They look really good. The package looks amazing.
I love that artwork, and I still haven't been able to put my finger on where it's from originally. But anyway, it's really cool. Can't wait to find out who actually is behind that, because they usually do tell you nowadays. Massive shout out as well to Stephen Alaric, who plays Snake Eye's father in the movie. I had the absolute pleasure of chatting with him for another redacted interview on Thursday, and he was an absolute gent. Great guy. Check out that video on our channel right now. Absolutely brilliant, and so funny, so nice. I can't say enough nice things about Steve, and he was brilliant. So thank you, mate. It's not Pride Month anymore, but guess what? We are still going to show our support for the LGBTQ plus community, because that's the kind of people we are. And as we say on every week, we stand with the Asian and Pacific Islander communities in saying Stop Asian Hate, and will continue to do so. Follow the links in the description if you want more information or just want to do more to help. And as always, to our patrons, to our listeners, to our viewers, thank you for everything. We really appreciate it. We've got some amazing intel coming up for our patrons in the next in the next week or so. So keep an eye out on that if you're our Red Shadow or Full Force SAS level patrons. And of course, to everyone that joins in, that comments, that sends us stuff, all of you guys are brilliant. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Pat, any last words? Like you're going to die?
The way that you said that, I guess my only last words are, it's the Full Force Weekly. I'm not driving that into the ground.
You said it now, but you're going to be saying it again in a second. That brings us to... No, that's good. I like it. That brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching.
You could just run one of the other ones I already said, just dub it in. Or I could just go, it's the Full Force Weekly.
Perfect. I'm using all of that. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host.
Full Force Weekly? I don't normally say my name or thank myself.
He's completely forgotten his name. That was amazing. I'm keeping Full Force Weekly in there. Thank you to my awesome co-host, the Full Force Weekly. See you next time, and as always, what is it, Pat?
It's Full Force Weekly.
Brilliant. 1, 2, 3. Full Force Weekly. That was amazing. That is the best sign-off we have ever done. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.